We're back. We've been away with all the stuff going on in the world. What have Tuesdays become? But don't you worry. It's Tutorial Tuesday. Welcome back to Tutorial Tuesday, where each and every Tuesday, almost, we bring you a brand new, fresh photography tutorial. This week, we're going to be doing something extra simple, extra easy, but super effective when you're editing your photos. We're going to do that because we're diving back in. After a few weeks away, let's get a good one, let's get an easy one under our belts. So we're going to be using Photoshop, we're going to dive in, we're going to look at how you can give your photos a cinematic color grade in just a few clicks. It literally could take you 30 seconds to do it, maybe less. Maybe a bit longer if you want to fiddle about with the colors a little bit, but we're going to show you how you can do it. We're going to do it in a couple of different photos just so you can really get to grips with how this can affect different photos. Let's dive in. So I've got this photo here. It's already a fairly kind of cinematic photo, what with the time of day, so golden hour, sunset, you know, the long grass, the depth of field. So this is going to work better for this photo, but we'll use on another photo in a second to show you how it can be applied to all kinds of photos. But certainly that is true. What we're going to do, the technique we're going to use is better suited to photos that are better suited for a cinematic look than others. But of course you can play around with the colors and do whatever you like. That's the beauty of photography. So let's dive into what we're going to do here. Now, first things first, we are going to come down here to the bottom right where the adjustments layer are. We're going to add a new adjustment there. We're going to add a solid color layer. We need to pick a color. Now this color is going to go into our shadows. So we're going to pick like a dark blue kind of color, something like that. We're going to hit OK. And we're going to change the blending mode of this layer to exclusion. And what that's going to do is going to add the color that we've picked, so in this case this nice rich blue, into the shadows, into the darker areas of the photo, and then add the opposite color into the highlights, the lighter areas. And if you play around with that a little bit, you can certainly get all kinds of different color grades using just this method. Now obviously it's a bit extreme right now, but if we bring the opacity down, and I find somewhere between sort of 25% to 40% roughly, depending on the photo, is what looks best. So let's try 25% first of all. Now it looks very, very subtle now. Let's turn this layer off and then back on. So you can see it is making quite a big difference. Let's bump that opacity up to something like 35%. I quite like that actually. So turn it off, turn it back on. You can see we've really given this a proper color grade now. We've really affected that. Let's even bring it up a little bit more. You can see down in the bottom left of the photo, really nice and blue, and then the top right is getting that kind of yellow, that orangey look that we want. And then we can go back in and we can play with these colors a little bit. So you double click on the blue here and you can actually play around with what you want this color to be. So let's bring it down to a lighter blue. Let's make it something like that. And now we've got more of a blue and an orange. Let's bring the opacity down a little bit there, 25%. Let's turn that off and back on. You can see that is making a huge difference again. Now, depending on what kind of thing we go for, the lighter the color, the kind of more pastel-y it's going to look. Whereas if we go for a darker color, it obviously affects it in a different kind of way. You get a more contrasty, punchy look. But there's all kinds of different things that we can do, and that's really affecting the photo and making it very kind of cinematic with that two-tone color contrast. Now let's open another photo and see how we can affect that as well. So I've got this photo here. It's very much an adventure-y kind of photo. I really like it as it is, to be honest, but let's give it a little bit of a color grade with what we were just doing. So let's come down here, add a solid color. Let's pick a lighter blue this time. Let's go for something like that and see how this plays out. And let's come down to exclusion. Let's bring that opacity right down, I think, on this one. And then we might actually want to go in and play around with the color a little bit. Let's try a darker blue again, just see what that looks like. Bring the opacity down a bit. So if we go to something like 15% on this one, because I think this one probably doesn't need as much of a color grade to it. Turn that off and turn that back on. So we are making quite a big difference to this actually. Let's bring that up a little bit, 21%. Turn it off, turn it on. So we are really affecting the color of this photo. Let's just play with that color there a little bit. Let's bring it down here so we're getting a little bit more orange in the sky. Yeah, that is a huge, huge difference to this photo that we're making there. Exclusion is just one of those blending modes that you just never use, except for something like this, but it's super handy for this kind of thing, and it's a really quick way to add a really nice color grade to your photos. Then you can play around with it. You can use layer mask to actually edit different parts of the photo as well, to actually have the color grade on certain parts if you want to. But otherwise, this is a very fast and easy way to get a great cinematic look to your photo. Now, if you have any questions about anything you saw in this video or any ideas for future tutorials, pop them down in the comments. Anything you'd like to see, pop them down there. I love getting suggestions for different tutorials we can do. That could be editing, it could be Photoshop, it could be Lightroom. I want to do Capture One ASAP, so I know a lot of you have been asking for more of that as well. And of course, going out and actually taking photos. I'd love to hear about any of them down in the comments. Now, of course, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe. Like we say every single video. I will of course see you in the next video, and as always, thanks for watching.